Hi, thank you for taking a look at this video. My name is Adib Karam. As you know, we got downgraded last Friday, and we got a lot of reactions over the weekend, a lot of finger pointing, a lot of blaming. This video is designed to take a look at the numbers. What you're looking at is what we call in the business world an executive dashboard. It's designed to give you key insight on your business. In this case, our business is the U.S. budget. All of this data comes from the White House Budget Office. We have a link to it from our dashboard. You can simply click on it and you can see all of the data that we got. You can download it yourself and check our accuracy. Let's talk about the first red flag that the S&P saw in our budget, and that's revenues. In the budget process, they call those receipts. That's all the tax money collected from everyone, corporations and individuals. If we hover over corporations, we see that 9 cents out of every dollar collected is collected from corporations. How does that compare to individual taxpayers? Well, individual taxpayers pay about 44 cents, and that really makes up the whole pie. There are some other estate taxes and duties and excise taxes, but really the biggest chunk is individual income tax and Social Security. Now you're asking yourself, why is that a red flag? What's wrong with that? Other than, I'm sure everybody's thinking, wow, corporations don't really pay a lot of taxes. That may be the case, but that's not the reason that it's a red flag. The reason that it's a red flag is the budget projection for the next few years. If you take a look at corporate income tax, the White House budget projections show that it's going to increase by 237%. That means they're going to more than triple the revenue they get from corporations. Well, how about individual taxpayers? What's going to happen to them? So if you hover over individual taxpayers, you'll see that individual taxpayers, the amount of revenue that's going to be collected from them is going to go up by 95%. That's almost twice as much as they get now. And that's just over the next, 2016? That's over the next 5 years. That's the red flag. That's not very reasonable. Taxes are not going to go up that high. It just doesn't make any sense. Either the economy has to grow, and the way the economy is growing now doesn't seem very likely. Red flag number 1. Let's talk about red flag number 2. And red flag number 2 is our spending. And in budget speak, that's outlays. So when you go to the budget office, look at outlays, and you can see that the top 10 departments take up 95.94. That's 96 cents out of each dollar that we spend. Not each dollar that we tax, but each dollar that we spend on these top 10 departments. These numbers are growing, and you can see as I'm hovering over these, Department of Health and Human Services is going to grow by 51%. Department of the Social Security Administration is going to grow by 39%. Department of Defense, not so much. It looks like 2%. So what does that mean? That means by 2016, instead of spending $3.8 trillion, we're going to be spending $4.4 trillion. Now you got to realize that we're currently making $2 trillion, and the most we've ever made was 2.5 something, and that's when the economy was on fire. If we triple or more than triple the amount of revenue that we get from corporations, and we almost double the amount of revenue that we're going to get from individuals, we will still have a deficit in 2016 of over $500 billion. Okay? That's the red flag. The red flag is even if we grow, or even if we were able to get that revenue, we're still in deficit territory. We're still adding more money to the debt. Red flag number 2. Unrealistic expectations that still keep us in the red. All right, let's talk about the third and final red flag. And we're also going to talk about something that nobody seems to have noticed or is talking about. And the third and final red flag is the amount of money that we're borrowing for each dollar that we spend. You can see that we went back all the way to 1789, and that's all the data that they had in the, again, White House Budget Office, so we downloaded it all. And as you can see, that even under the Carter years, where we thought, the deficit was horrible, we were borrowing 12 cents for each dollar that we spent. And the worst it has ever gotten until now is under Reagan in 1983. I know a lot of people find it hard to believe that we had deficit problems under Reagan, but we did. In 1983, where he really cut taxes quite a bit, you notice that we have 26 cents. We're borrowing 26 cents for each dollar that we spend. But you notice that our revenue is growing. Right? So even though we had one bad year, by the end of Reagan's term, he nearly doubles. By cutting taxes, he nearly doubles the amount of revenue that the government makes. And let's just look at it. Under Carter, we were at $517 billion. When Reagan leaves, all right, we're at 991. That's almost double. He doubled the amount of money this government makes by cutting taxes. Now let's take a look at what's happening under Obama. Now, even though we're borrowing more, so 40 cents the first year, 37 cents the second year, 43 cents projected for this year, but this number is going to be worse, and I'll show you why in just a second. That's the number that nobody's talking about. You can see that the revenue isn't growing. As a matter of fact, it shrunk. Under Bush, we were making $2.5 trillion, while under Obama, we're back to like the $2.1 trillion. And the one interesting part about this, the one very interesting part about this, is that under Clinton, right, he balanced the budget with around $2 trillion. So it's not like it's impossible to balance the budget with the amount of money that we're making. But the amount of money that we're spending is so outrageous that we're getting into record territory here. No one's ever in history have we borrowed 43 cents for every dollar we spent. The last thing I want to mention, and what nobody seems to be talking about, maybe nobody's noticing, but if you add up all the deficits, and that's what we did when we went back from 1789 and we added up all the deficits, we seem to be missing a few $1 trillion. As you can see, the projected deficit for 2011 is 9.6 trillion, and as you know, we're at 14 something. So something's going on here, and we're going to find out about it in a couple of months, maybe earlier, but definitely in a couple of months when they close the books and realize that we spent a lot more money than we thought we were going to spend. So keep a lookout for that. I also want to take the time, you've noticed the pictures that I have over here. The inspiration for this executive dashboard is the great Senator Simpson. I heard him interviewed on Kai Ryssdal on American Public Media, and it was a great interview where he talked about what it will take to get us out of this mess, and it was there was a sense of frustration in his voice because people didn't realize where the money was going, and that's why we created this dashboard to show the American public in an easy to understand way where the money comes from, where the money goes to, and the person who really just took this idea and ran with it is Mr. David Wilkinson, a good friend and a colleague of mine. And I also want to acknowledge him for doing a great technical job in putting together this dashboard. Hopefully we're a lot more educated and we can get through this process and get this country back on track. Thanks for taking the time to watch this.